what is art, and why do we create it? That's a difficult question, of course. The official definitions we could find are all-inclusive in their scope and quite vague, and they really don't fully answer the question. But that's pretty much what it is. An all-inclusive term that tries to encompass everything that could be. Some might give a simplistic definition of art and say that it is drawing or painting or music. But for those of us that want to go deeper, it's much more than all those things. Yes, it is those things, but to boil down art into a smaller set such as those things only diminishes what it really is, and it doesn't give a truly accurate explanation. Of course, there is a difference in fact and truth. A fact is that centuries ago, artists were seen as craftsmen, and the product of their efforts, as highly acclaimed as some were in their time, were seen as the produce of laborers. Now, art served a purpose in those days, different to, say, that of a baker, whose bread was a daily necessity for every family. Art, however, was a luxury, and afforded only by those with wealth. So the artists of the day held more status than that of a baker or a carpenter. But they were laborers just the same. The truth is that for centuries those craftsmen and women created works of art that not only decorated palaces and churches, but were capable of reaching the masses and informing, possibly even transforming and enlightening those that witnessed it. In a contemporary era, the view of artists and their art has elevated beyond the point of mere craftsmanship to that of not only a respected profession, but to a level higher than the nobility they once were employed to represent. Artists today are the seers and the speakers of truth. The artists shape the world and make it what it is. But another fact is that, unfortunately, many people don't care one bit about art. They don't think about it, and its presence holds no significance in their lives. To many people, art goes no deeper than the music they listen to as they commute to work, or the novel they read as they wait in the dentist's office. Art is just a way to pass the time as they move through life. For some of us, though, art is much more than that. Many people also don't think much or at all about God. But for those that do, there is a common structure of belief that exists within all faiths and definitions of what or who God is. Yet every individual has a personal idea of what their God is to them. In the same way, those that love art enough to meditate on it, they can find a structure of belief that is common to other definitions. But at the same time, every person will have their own personal definition that differs slightly from all others. In that way, art is divine. It can be everything to anyone, and simultaneously it can be whatever you need it to be, just for you. Whether your art form is painting, writing, music, fixing cars, baking bread, or even putting urine in a jar and calling it art, hopefully you have a bit more class than that. But if you do it with passion and to your highest degree of philosophy and standard, then you might reach people and enrich their lives as well as your own. You might, just might, discover the truth about who or what you are, why you exist. Art can be why we exist, or it could lead to the discovery of our greater purpose. It can be the question or the answer, The chicken or the egg? Am I who I am because I make art, or do I make art because of who I am? Do I desire fame and fortune, or do I desire to turn what I do into poetry? Art is universal. It can take any form, from writing to cooking to bricklaying. If the individual decides to take their particular medium, whatever it may be, to an elevated level and express his or herself through it, then really anything can be art, even things that are traditionally not considered to be. Through art, all things are linked. Now, I personally know nothing about music or computer coding, but I could hold an in-depth conversation with someone else on those topics based on the artistic merits of our chosen art forms. When we speak and think in artistic terms, we all speak the same language. So, are you an artist? Some of us can exclaim without hesitation, yes, of course. Now, some of us might not feel worthy of claiming the title artist for whatever reasons. Maybe a lack of confidence, a lack of certain skills, or perhaps a lack of development of those skills. And I used to fall into that category myself. I slowly realized that it's not the end game, but the journey that defines us. So if you create or desire to create, then you are an artist. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a vision of the world around them worth showing. If you are human, then you are an artist, whether you know it or not. Some of us just choose to chase that element of our character more actively than others. Art is all-inclusive. It excludes no one. Anyone can trace a figure in the sand or write down their thoughts. Anyone can elevate themselves up physically, mentally, or spiritually. If you have a brain, you can explore the greatest possibilities of your imagination and, barring physical limitations, reach them. I say, think abstractly, create. Art can give an avenue for the meek to be bold and for the lost to be found. Bring magic to those around you. Live for others and show them what you do. Add something into the world and then let it grow and become whatever it is meant to be. Dare to be yourself and bear it to others and suffer their arrows when smaller minds mock your vulnerability. Why else did we once stand upright and walk high, heads in the clouds above all else? Push yourself and the bounds of what you and your art could be. Or don't. Why do we create? Do we just like pretty pictures, or do we like telling stories? Do we like frightening others or touching them on an emotional level? Now, that question could easily be ranked up there with, why do we love? I don't know why, but I love the color blue. Yet I could never describe the color blue to someone that's never seen it. Just like I could never describe exactly why I love a particular person. We could say that, he or she makes us laugh, as an example. But likely plenty others make us laugh too, and yet our love is still reserved for that one special person. There's something deeper. Perhaps you know exactly why you create. It may be to fight boredom or to escape from the harshness of your life. Perhaps you don't. Do you create because there is an urge inside you calling you to do so? Perhaps you just have no choice over it. But really, any reason is good enough. The answer to the question, what is art, is just as profound as what is the meaning of life. If you don't care about it, then it is just as shallow as what's for dinner tonight. I suppose the real question, perhaps the only question worth asking, is what is art to you? And why do you create it? Now, if you choose, that question can go as deep as you want to take it. Obviously, there are physical limitations. You can't paint a canvas that covers the ocean or play a piano with an infinite number of keys. But if you put your definition of art onto a higher plane and hold yourself to it, then there is no limit to what you and your art could be. So, how far do you want to take it? Be honest, be humble, be the brightest version of yourself you can be divine. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.